Oh boy, am I excited for today's Read the Line Celebrity Insider Show. We have the one and only House Money from Twitter, Jeffrey Householder. Man,
Yes, sir.
tough to come up with that name. Welcome to Read the Line, and we're talking Worldwide Technology Championship at Mayakoba. Man, these names, they got to shorten them somehow. But you know what? Let's get into it, my friend. El Chameleon, what are you thinking? What's your first impression coming into Victor Hovland's fifth major?
So, Hovland's fifth major, the king of Paspalum, Mr. Victor Hovland. So, I like these events on these short courses, Keith, because you can give yourself a little bit of a larger sample size than just regular course history. The short courses all play similar, generally speaking, right? And luckily, several of them are right on the coast. So when you're looking at Mayakoba at El Camaleon, you always want to look at Harbor Town. You want to look at Sea Island. You want to look at Waialehe. And you also want to look at, what's the fourth one? Oh, Colonial is a nice short track too. So when we are on these short courses, we can look at these 5 or 6 comp short courses and give ourselves a nice sample size compared to if someone has just say 5 or 6 starts at that specific course where they're playing that week. So I like our chances this week a lot.
All right, so you're getting right into comp courses there. You're going to heavily weight that as we start to come up with all your different bets, placements, first rounds, etc. Let's take a step back. Let's talk about the weather. It's been wet down there, but we already know whether it's wet or dry, those paspalum greens are going to be soft. They're going to be slow. What kind of conditions are you looking at that looks like the possibility of rain this week? A little wind, maybe not too much. What are you factoring in from a weather perspective when you look at Mayakoba?
Absolutely. Like you said, the surface is very sticky surface, should hold a lot of greens. The greens and regulation percentage is traditionally quite high here. And the fact that it's raining not only before the tournament, but they're supposed to get some rain throughout the tournament. So the greens should hold a lot. We shouldn't have, if guys are doing a lot of scrambling, if you're worried about someone's around the green stats, they're probably not going to be in contention anyway this week. Exactly. So I think that factors in. Now, the wind, I don't know what you've seen, but I haven't seen anything predicting higher wind gusts than about 15 miles an hour, 10 to 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, the two websites that I look at all the time, especially for international, they're right at about 15 miles an hour. And the heavier winds are on the days that are supposed to be wet, which are Thursday and Friday. It looks by Sunday, it looks like perfect scoring conditions.
Yes, absolutely. So I would be genuinely shocked if we don't have a couple guys reach 20 under par. I think that is kind of the target score. What Hovland, I think, was 22 or 23 last year, and he was 20 the first year he won it.
Yeah, he set the tournament record at 23 last year, and over the last 5 editions, you had to shoot an average of 20 under to win.
Yeah.
And, over the last 10, it's like 19 under. So we're looking at a bit of a resort, little Mexico birdie fest down there. So that's leading us right into this conversation about skill set before we start to talk about the different contests, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on today. Is it because you're so good at breaking down the different props, placements, etc.? We'll get there in a second. I want to talk skill set first. You've already talked comp courses. When I think of Waialehe, when I think of Harbor Town, I think about fairways gained, good drives gained, right? But one of the things that strikes me about Mayakoba as a golf professional is that the guys that are really good iron players excel here. Where do you fall? What is your number 1 and 2 skill sets that you're looking at this week?
That's a great question. So the number one thing that I was looking at is birdie or better percentage from under 150 yards. So we have 3 par 4s that play under 400, and then you have 3 additional par 4s that play between 400 and 438. So as long as you get about 290 on the rollout off the tee, you're going to be under 150 on all 6 of those holes. Also, 3 of the 4 par 3s are under 155, including maybe the shortest par 3 on tour at just 116. So I like guys who are consistently making birdies when they're approaching the green from under 150. The other thing I really think is important this week is par 5 scoring, because we talked about how 3 short par 3s, there's also 3 short par 5s. The longest par 5 is about 570. So, and we were just saying you're going to have to get to 20 under. The best way to get to 20 under is to make sure you're making birdies on the par 5s. So the 2 primary statistical categories I was looking at is birdie or better percentage from under 150 and par 5 scoring, particularly on the short par 5s.
That's interesting. To put those at the top of your list, I'm curious why you went there over strokes gained approach or something more like tee to green, knowing that guys have to hit the fairway, guys have to hit the green here. And I'm sure it's more of a philosophical thing, but
Sure.
explain that for a second. I'm curious why you did that.
Sure. Okay, that's a great question. Now, I guess in my brain, I'm just thinking automatically we're going to be looking at tee to green and we're going to be looking at strokes gained approach. So I'm trying to get a little bit different, for lack of a better term. Like at a course like this, where if you're not hitting 70+% of the greens, you're not going to be in contention. You need to have good tee to green numbers coming in. So that's absolutely true. And really, what I'm trying to look at when I'm looking at potential placement bets are things that can separate a guy from the pack, so to speak, right? So, like last week in Bermuda, there were 3 very difficult par 3s, so I was interested in players who score well on those longer par 3s, and, I don't think a lot of people were looking at that, and there's probably not a ton of guys looking at birdie or better percentage from inside 150. And I think that might be why sometimes I come up with some plays that you don't see on a lot of other guys' cards, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. There have to be differentiators. At the end of the day, if you're trying to come up with a top 20 in a field of 130 plus, I mean, what are the odds? They're not in your favor. So there has to be something that matches up with that golf course,
Right.
And, I look at something where one of the comp courses you didn't mention, but I'm going to mention is Pebble Beach, right?
Absolutely.
Probably the
Definitely.
only place that has a par 3 shorter than the third hole here. Probably one of the few places where strategically guys have to hit to the same spot on every fairway and then play in from there, which is why approach is such a huge factor here and also there. So that might be a little bit of a hint towards where I'm going later when we start talking about outrights. But overall, I love asking that question because, there's a million things I'd love to pick your brain on, but differentiators are so important when it comes to when you're trying to pick a top 40 guy that's really not a top 40 guy, but why would he be all of a sudden? And you always come up with these unbelievable lists. But first and foremost, we got to talk. We got to talk first round leaders, right?
Oh,
we got to talk first round leaders, top 5s. We got to talk everything about Thursday because, I tell you, when the trumpet blows on Thursday and everybody gets going, there's nobody better. Your recent record in units earned on Thursdays is ridiculous, right?
Thank you,
so,
man.
Let's go. Who are we going? First round leaders and first round, leader top 5 lists for Thursday. Give me a couple of names.
Okay, so the very first name on the list for the first round leader top 5 is an easy one. It's Danny Lee. Danny Lee is the guy this week. I'm hoping that they hang something 1,1800 top 5. And he is the perfect type of player to play first round leader top 5 because you will often see him shoot up the leaderboard on Thursday. You look up on Sunday afternoon, he's T53. So, I love Danny Lee. He did top 10 back-to-back in Bermuda and Mayakoba last year. So I'm not saying that he won't top 10, but I'm going to play him in the first round leader top 5 market. Another guy I really like in that market this week is Grayson Sigg. Grayson Sigg has done a great job on Thursdays lately. Yeah. And we're looking for some young first round leader horses to replace a couple of the guys who bolted to the tour that shall not be named. I
Exactly.
think Grayson Sig is a guy that is definitely on the radar there. Another guy I hope is on everyone's radar, first round leader wise, is Lee Hodges. Lee Hodges has had some really good fast starts lately,
Yep.
and this is not coincidence. We see so many guys who traditionally play well on Thursday, and it's not, happenstance. They do it regularly, and I think Hodges might be the next one of those guys. Two other names, JT Poston. I'm hoping maybe the books forgot about him. He hasn't played very well or very much, really, recently. And then the last guy is JJ Spawn.
All right, JJ Spawn. All right, well, I'll tell you what. When it comes to Hodges and Sig, if it's Bermuda grass, first round leaders, you got to go there, right?
Oh, yeah,
Those guys have proven it over the last, let's say, 3 to 4 months that those guys get it going early.
definitely.
Especially on Bermuda grass. The conversion over to Paspalum, I think it's if there's any two grasses that are going to be close to one another, it's going to be those two. So if a guy's
Absolutely.
good on Bermuda, he could be good on Paspalum. Um, you know, one guy. Give me one guy for the first round leader.
Just one guy, it's Danny Lee.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Definitely.
Yeah,
And I like Rogers too. I don't trust Rogers for 4 rounds because he can get leaky off the tee. He's
yeah.
not particularly accurate. And like you said at the beginning, we're looking at kind of good drives gained and fairways gained this week. But Rogers can heat it up. He made as many eagles last year on tour as anyone, which
Yeah.
was one of the more shocking stats that I saw. I actually think he was number one on tour in total eagles made and at the end of last season, not including this fall swing. So he's always a good candidate there. And as far as the first round leader top five thing goes, guys ask me all the time, we're looking at guys that are plus 1,000 or better. If you're less than plus 1,000, you're not eligible. The math doesn't work. We're looking to bet 7 guys, and one of those 7 hit, it's going to be a profit of about 3.5 units. So it's a math thing as much as it is a course fit thing.
And it's also a fun thing.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, it gets the tournament going, and I love my live betting, and I love my live placements and head-to-heads over the weekend, but I think it just really spices things up on a Thursday, and I love the Danny Lee pick. I could trust him for 18 holes, 19 or more, I don't know. And
right.
Rogers is good. I mean, he might go Buck Rogers and hit it off the planet at some point, but I mean, for 18 holes and the way he finished out there in Bermuda, he definitely should be on people's radar. Now, here's a little
Yeah.
bit of radar. I want to have some fun with you, right? Before we get purely into outrights, I'm going to
Okay.
give you a couple fun groups with 3 names in it, and you got to give me a guy that you would take out of that group before we get to outrights. All right, we're going to have
Sounds
some fun
good.
here. And this is for a guy that you would want to do something with for all 4 days. It's not just a Thursday guy. We're going to start
Gotcha.
with a favorite group. All right, we're going to do a little group betting here. I'm going to give you Victor, I'm going to give you Tony Finau, and I'm going to give you Colin. Which one this week you tailing?
Oh, definitely got to be Vic Hovland. He's obviously extremely comfortable on this surface. I think most guys know this, but not only the 2 Mayakoba wins, but also his win in Puerto Rico. So all 3 official PGA Tour wins on this putting surface. So definitely Hovland out of that group. And Finau hasn't played yet. I looked at a lot of stuff with Finau, and it's hard. I don't know about you, Keith, but it's hard for me to get there on these guys that just haven't played in a month or more.
Oh, I'm with you there. I mean, having played professionally, you have to have some sort of form. You have to. I
Right.
mean, and even if he's comfortable with the golf course, we're talking about guys that we want to be top 10, top 5, and winning, right? So Tony Finau for a top 40, there's just no number there, so it's not a
Right.
relevant conversation. So my next group, I'm going to go with some names. Now these are all names we know: Justin Rose, Jason Day, Matt Kuchar. Who you tailing in
Ooh.
that group?
Ooh, Jason Day. That's another guy I wasn't quite sure what to do with. T11 or better in his last 2 starts. I'm not sure the last time he has done that. We'd have to ask Spencer. I'm sure he knows.
Yeah.
But, Jason Day absolutely could put together a nice run this year, and he's someone who's firmly on the radar for me. I am not going to bet him this week because I'm not quite sure about the back. I just don't quite trust it. You mentioned Pebble Beach, though, right?
Yep.
Jason Day at Pebble Beach is definitely a Webb Simpson at the Wyndham situation. Some of the best course history of any player on any course on tour.
All right, one more fun group. Randoms. Here we go. Hayden Buckley, Adam Putnam, Andrew Putnam, sorry, and James Hahn.
Oh my goodness, all three guys I was looking at this week. Putnam is my guy right now. I definitely am going to have to take Putnam out of those three. He's playing extremely consistent. Now, of course, his around the green game is his strength, and that's kind of mitigated at a place where you need to hit 70% of the greens in regulation, but he's just playing with some confidence. You can tell he believes he can get that ball in the hole from anywhere right now.
All right, we had some fun with the groups. Now let's get into the outrights. From the favorites, from the chalk, if you were going to play anybody, and of course it's an odds-related question, who are you going with this week?
Horschel. Definitely Billy Horschel. Like the T7 at the CJ Cup in his last start. We know he has excellent course history here. He's top 5 in the field in strokes gained per round at Mayakoba. And the other guys ahead of him are some pretty interesting names. There's some really interesting names in that group, actually. But I'll go Horschel with a favorite. I don't like the number on him. If I could find something 25, 26, 27, I would bet it. But 2,000, I don't know about that. But out of the group of the favorites, definitely Billy Ho.
All right, I'm going to take Tom Hoagie. All right.
Ooh, I love Hoagie.
I just love Hoagie. When it isn't, I mean, ever since he won, he realized how good of a player he really is. And the areas of his game where he may not have that differentiation are, like, I'm going to use your word, they're mitigated in Mayakoba. So,
oh, yeah.
If we're all hitting to the same spot in the fairway, and then from there we're going to play a scramble, Tom Hoagie is my first draft pick.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, he's like Tiger in his prime with those irons, man. It's unbelievable. So I love him. How about mid-tier? Where are you going mid-tier? Give me a name.
Oh, man, Brendan Todd, the Todd father, 100%. So, Brendan Todd did the old back-to-back in Bermuda and Mayakoba a couple of years ago. He's the last human not named Victor Hovland to win a tournament on this golf course. And not only has Todd, got a win here, his course history is tremendous. So let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Oh, you know what? I did some write-ups for my Discord group. I can just pull it right out of there, I'm quite sure. Okay, Todd, T11, T8 trophy, his last 3 starts at El Camaleon. Not too shabby, right?
Pretty good,
And then this fall, he owns a T7, a T28, and a T9. He owns one missed cut this fall, was at the Country Club of Jackson. He does not play well there. I don't know how many guys saw I had the conversation with John, his caddy, the other day. It was yesterday, and John was giving all the... Yeah, he was given all the specific reasons why Todd doesn't play well there. So you can throw that miscut out the window, say he's got 3 straight T30s to start his season, and he's finished T11 or better 3 years in a row at El Camaleon. Definitely Todd.
All right, give me a long shot. I mean, I know long shots, they've had a tough about 14, 15 months on the PGA Tour. It's tough to be a long shot and win. There aren't many of them, but if somebody was going to pop here, who's it going to be?
It's John Huh. I like John Huh this week, man. So the last time this event was an alternate field event was 2012. It switched to a full field event in 2013. In 2012, Huh won this event. Since then, including that start, 7 for 9 inside the top 30 at El Camaleon. That is remarkable consistency. Since 2012, that's 10 years. 7 out of 9 times he finished top 30. So I think the best placement bet on the market this week is a top 40 bet on John Huh plus 210.
That's where I was going next. You are the placement king, right?
Thank you.
I mean, it's going to be tough because you're going to have to get 2 thrones because what you're doing with top 5s on Thursdays, right? I mean, with this the run that's been on lately has just been, it's unbelievable. It's like you're carrying around Marty McFly's book or something. I mean, it's crazy. but at the end of the day, you one of the reasons I started following you is because you're the placement king. I love that, John Huh. You have another best bet on the prop board?
Yeah, definitely. Another guy I really like this week is Dahman. I was happy to see that they are hanging top 40 numbers around plus 150 on
Yeah.
Joel Dahman. He's striking the ball extremely well right now. Let me see if I can real quick pull from my write-ups what I wrote about his recent ball striking. It's absolutely nuts about Dahman. Okay, his last two starts, 1.64 strokes gained tee to green per round and 2.19 strokes gained tee to green per round for Dahman this fall.
And
That is
he's an
nuts.
accuracy guy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, he's a player in the same mold as Tom Hoagie. Nobody is really striking their irons quite as well as Hoagie right now. But Dahman is a similar type of a player. And Joel has not putted well at all this fall. So if he can somehow find the putter this week, that's another long shot to have an eye on. I haven't really looked at Twitter yet to see who guys are liking, but I'm imagining Dahman's going to be a pretty popular pick.
I've seen Joel's name a lot, and the main reason is that everyone feels that his putting is gonna show up because he won on Pass Palom, his only win, right? So,
Exactly.
all of that makes sense, and a lot of people say like, "Oh, you're just following." I mean, like, all these people are doing good, solid research. If 10 people are coming up with the name Joel Damon, then you probably should bet it. I mean, the people aren't
Yeah.
guessing.
No, they're
So
not guessing. And I think we can really pinpoint guys, like I said at the beginning, on these short courses because they all play similar. Like you said, we're hitting it to a spot, everyone's in a similar spot, and they're playing from a similar distance when they're approaching the green. Now, Dahman, as far as the short courses go, I thought this was interesting. 3 of his last 5 starts at El Camaleon have been top 25. 2 of his last 3 at Harbortown have been top 20. 2 of his last 3 at Wailea have been top 25. So he's consistently showing up on these short courses.
it's because he puts the ball wherever he wants in the fairway. You know,
Absolutely.
if it's an angled hole, and pretty much half the holes bend right to left at El Camaleon, and the other half bend left to right. And I love to look at the architecture first and the design of the golf course. There's a couple of water hazards there that are very strategic. There's some like really big waste bunkers and stuff. He's not going to hit those places. He's just not. And over the course of
No.
72 holes, that's why on courses like that are that demanding that guys like him and Tom are so good. All right, I got one best bet for you, right? I
Tell
love
me.
my nationality pools. I like Dean Burmeister at plus 190, top or low South African. Just keep an eye on that one. All right.
Absolutely.
Look at the guys he's
Burmeister's on the
going
radar.
against there, and even though Van Rooyen's an exceptional approach player, just look at some of the guys he's going there. It's good plus money, and at the same time, I really like his game. The guy showed up at the Open. He was solid on the DP World Tour. Now he's come over here. He's played well in all of his starts over here. Just keep an eye on that one for sure.
Oh, he's been excellent. He's been absolutely excellent. I think guys who maybe don't follow the DP World Tours closely, Burmeister and I hope Detry is firmly on everyone's radar at this point. Those are the 2 guys who you should be looking to bet frequently this upcoming season.
Well, my mid-tier guy this week is TD, man. He
Oh,
was my
gotta
one
be.
and done pick last week. He came in second. This
Yeah.
week, I'm taking him. I just like the setup better for him this week, and his recent form is strong. And you know what, House
Oh, it's excellent.
Jeffrey, your form is always recent, and it's always on point, man. Folks, if you are not betting Thursdays and following at House Money on Twitter, you're losing money. It's just that you are playing with your own money, and you're not playing with the house money. Today we got a chance to play with house money. I can't thank you enough for coming on. Read the Line Celebrity Insider Show. Jeff, we'll do it again soon, my friend.
Sounds good to me, Keith. Thank you for having me, man. I had a great time. I guess we're using the term celebrity kind of loosely, but I'll take it.
You're one in my book. Take care.
Thank you, man. You too.